Hey guys, what's up? GOW3 here, bringing you my third episode of my Gears of War 3 commentary series. This is some team deathmatch on Gridlock. My opening round was my best round, but I still think it's entertaining enough to pop up on here. Sorry I haven't been as active as I would have liked to be. I've been pretty busy. Recently got a job, a second job really, so been doing that. But this week I'm not going to be doing the commentating for you guys because I got a friend who's got some really cool stuff. He's got a lot of great stories. He actually has been through, the U.S. Army basic training. And what I'm going to have him talk to you guys about is the tear gas training, which is known as the House of Tears. And that's where they really do just throw you into some tear gas. And he's going to tell you about it. But he's actually been through it. No joke. He did it. He's here to tell you guys about it. So I'm going to hand it off to him.
Hey everyone, my name's Danny. I'm a good friend of Gilroy's, and like he said earlier, I've been through Army basic training, and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about what NBC training, or more commonly known as gas training, was like. It was definitely probably the most anticipated part of basic training. It was probably the worst part of basic training for a lot of people. Just the mental aspect of it is really hard. And it was definitely an experience that I'm glad that I had now that it's over, but in retrospect, I definitely wouldn't want to repeat it or do it again because it sucked. So on the day of the training, our sergeants thought it would be a good idea to screw with us. So they told us about how everyone in the past usually pukes their guts out after the gas chamber. And of course, they gave us a giant meal to eat right before we travel off to it. And no one ate at all. Everyone just kind of sat there and stared at their food. It was really sad. So, after the instructors taught us how to properly put on our gas masks, we started walking over to the actual House of Tears, which, as intimidating as the name is, it's just this tiny white hut in the middle of a forest. So, as we walked up to it, I thought, this can't be that bad. But then, we walked inside, and that all changed. One of the first things I remember when I walked into the actual gas chamber was that I immediately felt a stinging sensation in my hands and neck, which were uncovered by ACUs. It felt like a really, really bad sunburn, and it kind of started to creep me out because we hadn't even taken our masks off yet, and I was already starting to experience some of the symptoms. The inside of the room itself was probably no bigger than just a living room. It was bare, white-walled, had wood floors. And they lined us up around the edges of the room and told us to just breathe normally and relax. One of the first things that our sergeants wanted to teach us is that it's important to trust in your equipment. So they showed us that if you can breathe normally and you know how to operate your CS mask, that everything was going to be okay, as long as you just didn't panic, which is one of the worst things that you can do in a situation where there's some kind of nuclear, biological, or chemical threat. The next thing that they had us do was just to simply practice taking our masks off and closing our eyes and holding our breath, and then they would come around and tap us on the shoulder, and when they did, we were allowed to put our masks back on and clear them, which is basically where you're blowing out all of the tear gas that you just sucked in near your face when you put your mask back on, and resealing the mask around the edges of your face. Unfortunately, the first time around, some of my squad mates didn't clear their masks right. So when they put their masks back on, they still had tear gas trapped near their face, and they started hacking and wheezing and crying, and the sergeants kind of flipped out, and it was really funny, but it kind of made everyone else a little bit more nervous as to what it was going to actually be like when we had to take our masks off and just kind of take it for a couple of minutes. Now, I don't know if every other company that went through basic training did this, but our lieutenant was kind of crazy, so what he did is he had us do push-ups while we were still in the gas chamber and had our masks on. Apparently what a lot of people try and do when they're in the gas chamber is just hold their breath the whole time, so that way they don't actually have to breathe in the tear gas and feel its effects. But he knew that if he got our heart rates up with PT exercises like push-ups, then no one would be able to hold their breath. They'd have to breathe it in, they'd have to suffer. So when it was finally time to take our masks off and breathe everything in for real, get the whole experience, they told us to line up around the edges of the room, and with your left hand grab the shoulder of the person in front of you, so that way when you started kind of hallucinating and not being able to see, you could walk out in line just holding on to the person in front of you, and that way you wouldn't have to try and navigate your own way out. And then with your right hand we would take off our masks, hold them above our heads, and then the whole time we would try and shout the Soldier's Creed. For people like me who hadn't memorized it yet, they told us to just scream as loudly as possible, which was just one more of their little tricks to try and get us to get out of breath so we'd have to breathe in and feel all the effects of the tear gas. So, wanting to be as hoo-ah and tough as all the other guys, I eagerly took my mask off on the count of 3, and I made the mistake of taking a big deep breath in before I started screaming, which caused me to start coughing and wheezing like an idiot before we even really got started. I hope that none of you ever have to experience it, because breathing in tear gas is pretty miserable. I remember I was only about 2 or 3 deep breaths into the exercise, and I already wanted to bolt for the door. You don't feel like you're suffocating, it's not like you're drowning, but it stings to breathe. Your lungs feel like someone's taking a million tiny knives and stabbing you all over the inside of your chest. We were in there for a whole minute or two, though, which doesn't sound very long, but when your lungs are hurting that badly, it can kind of seem like forever. After just a few seconds of being exposed to the tear gas, it feels like someone is turning a faucet on in all the glands of your face. I started coughing up a ton, spitting up, everyone was vomiting, and your nose just starts going uncontrollably. If you've ever eaten hot, spicy foods to try and get rid of sinuses, it doesn't work nearly as well as tear gas. I've had a clear nose ever since then. I think the worst part about the whole thing, though, was the effect it had on my eyes. It felt like someone had taken a lighter and held them up to the back of my eyeballs. It's just a miserable feeling. Your eyes literally feel like they're on fire, because they made us try and keep them open the whole time, but it just hurts so bad you just kind of involuntarily shut them a lot, and you're just crying uncontrollably, and it just sucks. I remember that it got so bad that when they finally did open the door to let us out, and we all kind of stumbled out into the daylight with our wits not about us, you know, my eyes hurt so bad. I opened them, and I couldn't see for about 10 seconds. All I saw was just kind of a white glare. The nice thing about tear gas, though, if you can say that one exists, is that after about a few minutes of not breathing it in anymore and just being outside and breathing in oxygen again, you start to feel normal. Your eyes slowly but surely start to feel the same, not like someone's cooking them, and you start breathing normally and your skin stops itching. So, I think that's about it. That's the story from my end. I hope that it was entertaining for you all, and I'll lead it back to my friend here.
Alright guys, the gameplay's wrapping up. That's the end of his tear gas story. I hope you enjoyed. It's certainly interesting to listen to. If you are new to my videos and you're interested for some more similar content, just go ahead and subscribe. Some more stuff coming out for you guys in the next couple of days. Alright guys, have a good one.